74.6 billion on New Year's Eve. While the rest of the world was watching the ball drop and breathing in the recycled air of a cheap celebration, the foundation of the global financial system was being buried in a shallow grave. Most people think of markets as clean, digital lines on a glass screen. They're wrong. Markets are organic, they bleed, they panic, and eventually, they die. That $74 billion spike wasn't a glitch in the Fed's standing repo facility. It was a ghost signature, a desperate middle-of-the-night transfusion for a system that had already lost its pulse. That's not a market fluctuation, that's a crime scene. This is the case officer. I'm opening file 001 regarding the silver market discontinuity. The ledger has identified a massive discrepancy in the official record, a gap between the paper promises made in the West and the physical reality being forged in the East. Carbon, bring up the manifests. I want the deep vault data, not the sanitized PR from the exchanges. We are looking for the point where the math stopped making sense. For 50 years, the world operated under a comfortable delusion called the law of one price. The idea was simple. Silver is silver, whether it's in a vault in Manhattan, a warehouse in London, or a refinery in Shanghai. The prices were supposed to be tethered by a digital umbilical cord. If silver moved a nickel in London, the New York COMEX followed suit. It was a stable, closed-loop system designed to manage perception through paper. But in the winter of 2025, the physics of the market simply stopped working. The cord snapped. Look at the ledger. While New York was trading paper futures at $74, the physical metal in Shanghai hit $82. That $8 premium, a spread of more than 10%, is a structural fracture. In a functioning market, arbitrageurs would buy in the West and sell in the East until the gap closed. But that didn't happen. The gap stayed open for weeks. Why? Because you can't arbitrage a ghost. The Western price is a fiction built on synthetic liquidity, a mountain of claims stacked on top of claims, with a 400-to-1 ratio of paper to physical metal. The East isn't trading paper anymore. They are taking the metal. Exhibit 1. The liquidity trap. The LBMA in London and the COMEX in New York tell you the vaults are overflowing 449 million ounces. It sounds like a fortress of solvency, but the ledger sees through the classification matrix. Look at the registered floor, only 127 million ounces. Imagine a fire station reporting 100 trucks to the city council, but privately admitting that only 12 of them actually have keys in the ignition and fuel in the tanks. The other 88? They're just props. They look good for the audit, but they aren't coming to save you when the house is on fire. In London, it's even more cynical. 80% of the tonnage is encumbered by ETFs. It is legally locked behind a glass wall. It belongs to shareholders, not the market. And shareholders don't deliver metal, they deliver lawsuits. When the registered metal runs out, the banks won't be holding the bag. It'll be the pension funds, the people who thought their monthly statement was a deed to a physical reality. It's not. It's a receipt for a vacancy. 32-ounce bars. Cold to the touch, heavy enough to remind you that value used to mean something you could hold in your hand and feel the weight of history. But that value is currently being vaporized into the silicon heart of the modern world. Carbon. Show them what 1,000 watts of power does to traditional solder. Inside the NVIDIA Blackwell B200, the thermal load is so extreme that traditional lead-tin alloys simply melt away. The AI revolution isn't built on lines of code, it's built on silver sintering paste. We are no longer just plating wires, we are fusing silver atoms directly into the chip's skeleton to facilitate heat transfer that copper simply cannot handle. In the Blackwell architecture, silver isn't an investment, it's a cooling reagent. It is a non-substitutable component of the most valuable machine ever built. And it doesn't end in the data center. Look at the silver-indium-cadmium control rods in our nuclear reactors. They absorb neutrons in the core until the silver itself becomes radioactive waste. Every reactor powering your grid is quite literally a silver tomb. This metal isn't being stored for a rainy day. It is being geologically sequestered. It is gone from the global ledger forever. We are consuming our monetary future to power our digital present. Carbon. Pause the feed. I need the audience to understand the gravity of the direct offtake matrix. This isn't industrial espionage. This is industrial extinction. Meet the shadow suppliers. McDermott Alpha, Heraeus, Indium. These aren't names you see on the evening news, but they are the ones rewriting the rules of the game. They have realized that the COMEX is a ghost house. To protect their production lines, they are signing multi-year, fixed-volume contracts directly with the miners. The silver moves from the mine site to the refinery and straight into the sintering vats of Silicon Valley and the solar farms of the Gobi Desert. It never touches a public warehouse. It never enters the registered inventory. They are performing an atomic cremation on the world's supply just to keep the lights on. By the time the retail investor tries to buy a physical bar, the shadow suppliers have already spoken for the next 3 years of global production. While the West trades paper, the East is taking delivery in a frenzy. October 2025. India imports surge 528% in 30 days. $2.7 billion worth of silver vanished from Western vaults in a single month. You only fly metal when time has already failed. Carbon. Track the Zurich-Mumbai air bridge. We've identified Swiss World Cargo freighters moving 30-kilogram bars directly from the refineries in Switzerland to the Mumbai tarmac. They aren't waiting for ships. Ships take 40 days to cross the ocean, but the premium in Shanghai is growing so fast that 40 days is an eternity. These are the logistics of panic. The Shanghai premium is currently $8 and climbing. The New York price is a fiction, a lingering echo of a world that no longer exists. The lease rates confirm the failure, spiking to 40% as bullion banks scramble for metal that is already 10,000 feet over the Arabian Sea. The final signal? New Year's Eve. That $74.6 billion spike in the Fed's standing repo facility. While the public was watching the ball drop, the banks were pledging their last treasuries to the Fed just to stay alive. Why did they need $74 billion in cash at midnight? Because in a market that has gone physical, naked shorts become a death sentence. They needed the cash to cover margin calls on silver positions that no longer had a physical anchor. This wasn't about liquidity, it was about survival. The ledger shows a system at the end of its mathematical tether. The physical float is gone. The discontinuity is here. The paper price is for the spectators. The physical price is for the survivors. We are entering the era of the hard asset audit, where the only truth is what you can touch. This is the case officer. File 001 is closed. File 002, the investigation into the central bank gold swap anomalies, is already open. The truth is in the ledger, and it always balances here.